This is where we're talking to entrepreneurs, those making an impact, so that you could learn their stories and make an impact in your life or business. You're tuning into Business with Chris. Hey everyone, welcome to show number 4. I had the pleasure of speaking with Richa Gupta, the co-founder of Good Food for Good. Now, Good Food for Good is a Toronto-based social enterprise. Right now, they have a variety of sauces that are better for you. They are all natural, organic, have no added sugar, and they work on a buy one, feed one model. They've actually been able to provide over 500,000 meals. Yes, that's a lot. I was extremely excited about this one, so let's jump right in. All right. Today we have Richa on the podcast, Richa Gupta, the founder of Good Food for Good. Richa, how you doing today?
I am amazing. Thank you for having me, Christian.
Yes, of course, of course. This is going to be a great one. Good food, Good Food for Good. How many stores are you in right now?
I would say the last we counted was 1,800, but I'm not like we just added a lot of new stores in US, so we'll have to find out as we go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So previously you were just in Canada.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just in Canada. You're in Canada in Whole Foods. I go to Whole Foods often and I see your product there. I love it. I really like the taco seasoning. It's great. For the viewers that don't know about Good Food for Good, could you give them a little description on what you do?
Sure. So, Good Food for Good is a registered B Corp. We are a company on a mission to make it easy for people to eat well and do good. And right now, we do it through our organic um, line of sauces that are made right here in Canada. All no added sugar, no soy, no corn, no nuts, nothing that someone would look at and call it's bad or why is this in the deck. So it's all ingredients that you would find in your kitchen. And the best part is it's a buy one, feed one model. So every time you buy a product, we feed a person in need. So it's good for you and good for someone else in need. As the name suggests, good food for good.
Yeah. How many people have you been able to donate? Is it meals or are you donating the actual product to?
So we actually donate meals. We actually donate money for them to be able to buy meals. So we donate money to our giving partners, which are food banks in US, food banks in Canada, and also an organization in India called Akshay Patra Foundation. Akshay Patra was actually our first giving partner, um, and we started with them. The day we started the company, and they serve 1.4 million kids every day. That's like the biggest school meal program in the world. Um, and till date, we have fed over 500,000, so over 500,000. Um, and that was the last count that I did at the end of December. So hopefully more as as the months have passed.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing that you're able to make that sort of impact. What inspired this idea?
It's a longer story. I was actually talking at a panel the other day. They were like, why, what came first, the giving back, or the good food? And to be honest, like the giving back has been with me for since I was 19, and I'm 43 now. I'll be 43 in April. Um, so definitely the urge to do something, the urge to make a difference, or the urge to give back has been with me for a long time. When this idea about good food for good came to me, it just made it easy for me to make that difference through food. So now coming back to how the idea came to be, before starting this company, I was working in marketing at a big CPG. It was a food CPG. And I had a 4-year-old daughter at that time. I was struggling to really feed her food that I grew up with. So I grew up in India where my mom made food 3 times a day, all with fresh ingredients. And here I was, I had 20 minutes before it was her bedtime, to cook food, feed her, bathe her, and put her to bed because of the busy schedule. And when I looked at what was in the market to help me, make those meals quickly, all the food was loaded with so much stuff that I didn't consider food. Things that I I wouldn't call as, when I'm cooking in the kitchen, things that I wouldn't use. So even things like citric acid and ascorbic acid, which in the world have become, they're just normal preservatives. They come from plants and stuff like. But you really don't need to eat preservatives when you don't need to eat preservatives. And things like maltodextrin. These are Maltodextrin is corn. It's like form of corn, and just ingredients that I don't even know the names anymore because I have not been had a product which had those things. But things that you and I, if we were cooking from scratch, we would never use in our kitchen. And it was that mom guilt that first inspired the idea of, hey, I want to do something that made a difference in lives of people like me. And then, combining that back to something that has been in my head since I was 19, that I want to do something to make a difference in lives of people in need, um, came to be. I was just in love. I was like, I have to give this idea a try. I had my education, like I was an MBA before I had my experience. I felt that, you know what, I can take this risk because it's getting me so excited. So that was it. That was history. And, now we've been successfully running this venture for several years, have made a difference in over 500,000 lives. And in terms of through our food, we have made a difference in over 3 million lives based on the servings we've served.
Wow, that's very impressive. Before we get more so into like the challenges of starting this food brand and the maybe because you don't use those preservatives, any issues you ran into, I actually want to go a little bit deeper into where this the your first experience seeing people, because we spoke briefly before this and you mentioned the first time you witnessed poverty, and how that stuck in your head for all this time. And go a little bit into that story because I think it's very interesting.
Okay. So yeah, as I mentioned, it stayed with me since I was 19. And so my background when I was living in India was in fashion. I studied design. My first job as a fashion designer. Super excited right out of school, right? You're getting to create these beautiful outfits. I think 3 or 4 months into the job, I was asked to go visit the artisans, to brief them on on a project that we were working on. And when I reached there, like all my excitement about meeting the artisans, turned into a shock because there were these several people, living in like a tiny little room, which they called workshop, but they also actually lived there. Um, and they had these beautiful embroidered. I don't know if you've ever seen like any Indian style clothing, like they are very intricately embroidered. So a lot of needlework. It's beautiful. It's like glamorous. So the contrast of that beauty that was what they were making to the life that they were living just left me speechless, and it just moved something inside me for weeks and months following. I felt somehow responsible for their what they were living. Like we are creating some, like I felt that as a society we are exploiting these artisans, and I wanted to do something to help them. But at 19, I seriously had no idea what to do. I didn't come from like a wealthy family. No one in my family has ever had a business. We are, very middle class. Um, so I actually changed my role. So I left design and I moved to business development. So I never had to see that again. And time passed by, and I felt that okay, out of sight, out of mind. Perhaps the feeling will go away. Um, but 10 years later, I was in Canada, still working in design in like fashion. I was at Hudson's Bay, um, and that feeling came back in again. It was like, is this like the hollowness? I mean, you're too young right now, Kristen, to probably understand that, but there is a stage in life, like after you've done some work and after you've, the basics have met, in terms of, hey, you have shelter, food, perhaps a partner, right? Then you start thinking of, for most people, what am I here for? Because till then you have spent time building to that level. And that feeling came back in again, that hollow feeling of, is this my life? Is this what I really want to be doing all my life? So I actually left, and that was during my maternity leave, and I started my MBA, to be able to switch industries, and that's very common for immigrants. Um, as a first generation immigrant, if you want to switch industries, um, you know, people don't give you a try. You have to like prove to them that, okay, I now, I have done this education and now you can hire me. So I did my MBA from Schulich and joined General Mills. I convinced myself that, hey, I'm working in food. I'm making a difference because it's food, right? And everybody eats food. Has to be more meaningful than fashion. Uh, and then rest is history. I've told you the story, what happens after.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, okay, I read that the idea was sparked. You had a LinkedIn post about this. Professor Yuval, who I've actually taken a class with, you were in his class, and that's where it started. I've actually, so my group worked on an idea, and that's an idea I actually implemented in my last year of university, and actually was able to create a business out of, which was pretty insane. And that's where the idea for your company started as well, right?
Not for the company that I have right now, but it was actually in Yuval's class when I was doing the research for business idea, what we want to do, when I came across Tom's, the shoe company. And I was just blown away by, the how Blake was able to combine the giving back aspect and, still delivered on, great quality product or product that people want to wear. So my idea was more in fashion, because till then I was still, that's the industry that I had worked on. So the idea was to help, and again combining with the artisan. So I wanted to create these handbags or accessories that are made by these traditional artisans, but more in a very modern and contemporary way. So they get to make a living, and then I would give back something. Somehow the give back thing was not fitting that well when I did that model. I was thinking, okay, we'll give them a blanket or something like that. But then buy a bag, give a blanket, like it doesn't make, like it was just because I was so inspired by buy one, give one model. Like that's not fitting. It was not fitting. And I tried actually. I right after school, I tried to find, because I was now in Canada, right? All my connections back home were like 12 years old. I tried to reach out to a lot of people, but I wasn't able to find, at least at that time, um, where I could actually get stuff like that manufactured. So that idea was tabled. And then when this good food for good idea came to be, it just, everything just gelled so well, right? Combining food to fight food. Like food is helping fight another food related problem, like both food related problems, right? Like for us, um, with good food for good, what we are trying to do is make a difference in two of the world's biggest food related issues, right? On one side, we have 1 in 5 people who are dying of bad diet, right? Like a diet that's high in sugar, high in processed meats, high in salts, and it's literally killing people. And it's 1 in 5 deaths, which is a high number. And on the other side, 1 in 9 people are still going to bed hungry. And over the last year, that number has gone really high. Um, so with Good Food for Good, our goal was to eradicate hunger and eradicate these diseases that are caused by bad diet. Um, And that was just, that's it, right? Like it was meant to be something that I had been brewing for so long. Finally had an idea that it just works.
You're killing two birds with one stone with that idea.
Totally.
That's amazing. Yeah, yeah, I really like that. You worked at General Mills in marketing. What did that mean to Good Food for Good when you started your company? Like, what are some takeaways that you took from your time at General Mills and applied them to your own business?
It was so valuable. Like any CPG, any consumer packaged goods company, especially marketing, they are such good training grounds for entrepreneurs because you pretty much, at least at General Mills, we were empowered to run the brand as our own business. You were responsible for the P&L. You're not just doing communication. So marketing was not communication. Marketing was general
Mm.
management. Marketing was managing business. Um, so my understanding of the industry, my understanding of consumer trends, my understanding of, what are the basics that are required to make a product, I got from there. But what I didn't get, so there were things that and that's what gave me the confidence that yes, I should be able to do it. I've run this business, right?
Yeah,
However,
yeah.
what you don't realize is when you work in a big company, you have a whole team. All you have to do is send them an email and things get taken care of. It doesn't happen like that when you're
Yeah.
working on your own. So it was a
Oh
learning
wow.
curve for me. I had to learn each and every function, whether it's supply chain, sourcing, um, labeling regulations, product design, recipe development, R&D, you name it. Salesperson, a delivery driver. Um, yeah, I've played all those roles.
Yeah, well, you have to wear multiple hats at the beginning. There's just no way around it, right? Like I even if you have just a ton of funding, I feel like you still have to figure out all those things before you can tell someone how to essentially do it. You got to learn at
Totally,
least the basics, right? So,
totally,
yeah,
totally.
yeah. So you mentioned like labeling regulations. There's a lot of other things going on. What was the biggest challenge that you faced in your early days?
For me, it was the R&D part, because when I wanted to create something that didn't have preservatives or wasn't cooked to death. So my first line that I launched was my cooking sauces, right? So they were all made with fresh, organic, um, local ingredients. So I should say the first challenge was procurement of those local ingredients because we live in Toronto. Come winter, you do not get fresh local tomatoes. Something that I had not thought of before. My second challenge was um, most R&D people that I reached out to only knew how to make things shelf stable or make them last forever. So they would always give me guidance. Oh, you cook it for X amount of minutes, add this much acidity, and then yeah, you're good. You don't have to worry about it. And I didn't want to do it that way because that's what I was trying to change. Or add a little bit of citric acid. It's super acceptable. Ascorbic acid is just vitamin C. You can add that. Nobody would question. I'm like, no, I am not going to add anything that people don't have in their kitchens in my food. Period. It has to be as close as I can make to what you would make when you are making yourself. So I didn't know the shelf life of my cooking sauces till a year into it because what I had to do it, I had to test it week by week by week by week to know how long they last because none of the R&D people had done, okay, if you cook it this way and if you don't add those preservatives, how long it's going to last. They had no idea because they have never done it. So we had to go through that, you know, just one after one, week after week cycle to figure it out.
Wow. Yeah. That R&D part would be tough. It's yeah, I've been through R&D as well, and it takes some time. It's very time
Yeah.
consuming. Yeah, like yeah, it takes a lot of time, and I can only imagine with something that you are selling in retail that it would just be like that much more important to get right. And I found your sauce in a I think it was a slightly refrigerated section, right? When you're in retail, your sauce has to be in the refrigerated section. Did you get some pushback at the beginning with that, or
I'm still getting pushback because it's like it's in for our cooking sauces. It's we are creating a new category. We are bringing flavor to the organic refrigerated section because there isn't any product in that category in the cooler. And till date, like people, for grocery managers, for buyers, it's like what Renee dressings did 20 years ago, right? When before that, dressings were all shelf stable, right? And then they brought it to cooler next to produce. We are bringing fresh sauces next to produce where people are thinking about food, right? Like we are where if you go buy a tofu or a cauliflower, they're like, oh, what am I going to make with it? Here is a sauce lying right next to you. Roast this, put the sauce, you got a meal, right? Which does not happen when it's lying in your shelf stable aisle or ethnic aisle for that matter.
yeah, when you first started, what was your what was your approach? Were you saying, okay, I'll contact these local independent retailers, or did you go straight for the big guys, straight for the Whole Foods and the people like that? Like what was the process there?
Sure. So for me, coming from CPG background, consumer understanding or consumer testing was big, but I knew focus group was not the way to go. So I wanted to get firsthand consumer experience. So my goal was first year to only do farmers market. And the idea was we'll start in summer farmers markets and we'll see what happens. However, when I was looking for that, there were two spots available in two winter farmers markets. So I started 6 months early. And that just gave me a leg up because winter farmers markets are usually smaller. So you can get a lot more one on one interaction. And that really helped me um, refine the product that much better, right? Like because I was able to make some, test it, like it, not like it, what they're liking, what they're not liking, kind of thing. So when the summer markets hit, I think it was our first or second summer week market. I still remember Davisville Market, and the buyer from Whole Foods Yorkville store was at the market, and he picked up the bottle, and he's like, "Oh, you should be at Whole Foods."
Wow,
And that time I had like craft paper labels that I designed on PowerPoint. I used to print it at home, put it on jar.
I love that.
And that's, I was like, no, no, no. I mean, I don't think we're ready yet. I'm just testing it out. He's like, and the all the things I need to do to get in there. I don't think I'm ready there. He's like, no, no, no. I buy for Whole Foods Yorkville, and I would be happy to bring these on. And then, at that time, I didn't even have UPC stickers on my jars or nutritional label for that matter because it was a farmer's market product. Um, that's so that was sometime around July, if I'm not wrong, or June when the farmers market began, and I think September we launched at Whole Foods Yorkville. Then store after store it increased, and I think the second call we got was from Row Farms Beaches. Um, they invited that Richard was a big fan of our product. I'm not sure either he bought it at farmers market or he found it at Whole Foods. Um, and yeah, and then one store after another, it was, hello, this is what I do. Would you like to try? That's how it went. And then from farmers market, the focus changed to demos at stores every weekend. That's what I did for several years. It was all my weekends were demos in different places.
Demos like a sampling.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, and I mean that's a great way to get a food product out. People love samples. Costco doesn't do it right now because of COVID, but when they've got samples, I mean that's part of the reason why people would even go. Hopefully they get that
Oh,
back.
totally.
Yeah, hopefully they bring that back. Um,
Oh, totally. We were so worried. We launched amidst of COVID. So last year around this time, we launched our ketchup at Costco. We were so worried that how it's going to go because there is no sampling anymore. But it did amazing. I guess there was enough brand awareness and there was enough uniqueness to the product um, that people bought it even without sampling, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. For anyone that's starting a CPG brand and they are looking to get into Whole Foods or whatever grocery store it is, how do you recommend they go about it?
Depends. So if you want to, be small and nimble and test it out, the best is to just call the stores, right? And ask them. They would tell you how to go about it. But if you try and grow fast and scale a lot, I would say use the network. So there are distributors and brokers around to help you out with those. They have existing relationships. So I didn't go through that path for like the first 4 years. I didn't had a distributor till like 2017, and a broker just last year. Um, but if you want to, if you're ready to go fast, I would say use the existing network. But if you're comfortable, building it slowly, just do whichever way. But you have to pick up the phone and call. Like you have to do the sales because it's your brand, no matter what.
When you're launching in the United States, for example, across the country, what's the biggest challenge when with that release? Like how just touch on that. I feel like I don't even know what question to ask because I feel like there's so much that goes into that. But like, what are some challenges that you're facing right now?
Several. Okay, so the first challenge was getting into the distributor because how US works is every retailer has their defined distributor network that they only buy from. Um, so, and you can't, like, I can't just say, hey, I'm sending you a case. So can't be just shipping case, like, my product is in glass. So things vary based on what category you are. But for me, as like what I do, those were some of the challenges. And distributor would only take you if a retailer has committed to you, and the retailer would take you if you have a distributor. So it's like chicken and egg kind of thing. Okay. So that was one of our initial challenges, but then we got in UNFI and KEHI both. And then the second challenge, of course, is proving to the buyers, because they are the next gatekeepers to reach the consumers, is that your brand will do well, especially like you are from Canada, like they're different countries. So their question is, I don't know how you did, I don't know the brand awareness. And that's like, that comes to the third challenge, is building awareness in a country, in a very big country, um, as compared to, like, we are big, but we are like, our population is 40 million, which is actually, it's actually less than California. Um, so
Yeah, we're like 1/10 of the United States population, so it's very
exactly,
different.
exactly. So right now, my biggest, and now, we were able to convince the buyer that we can do it. Now our biggest challenge is figuring out how to massively scale the awareness aspect. So more and more consumers, or at least our niche consumers, it's not just about just general consumer, people who we are targeting, um, know about who we are, and are willing to give us a try.
Okay. Are there So I've always wondered this. So some companies they'll be only in one country. When a company is trying to sell within the United States, are there any legal requirements that goes along with that? Like what are the regulations like?
You have to check with FDA because it all depends on your category. Yeah, again, that's a hard one for me to answer. There's no general answer for it. It actually depends on what you're selling.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious about the details here. Uh
Yeah, no, same
what
thing with
is
with
the
Canada, right? Like if anybody's coming to Canada, they have to make sure, if anything, anyone is even selling in Canada, you have to make sure you're following all CFIA regulations. So if you are selling in US, you have to follow all FDA regulations, which could require changing the label. Their nutritional panel is different from our nutritional panel. We don't have to write in French for US. We do have to write in French for Canada. Yeah, all those things. But seriously, that's like this small, I know people are always concerned about that. To me, actually, that's the smallest challenge. That's like nothing in the big sea of challenges that exist.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's just details. That's just
Oh,
details.
totally. Yeah, yeah, it's like a
Um
tiny
yeah.
detail that you can hire a consultant to help you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What's the biggest lesson that you've gotten from this journey, from growing this company? How many stores are you in again? Like, well,
I
over a
think we should
thousand.
be yeah, we should be over 2,000 by now.
You're
Yeah.
wow, over 2000. That's an incredible journey. What are the lessons that you've gotten from this experience that you would love to potentially pass on to other people?
One thing that comes to my mind straight away, and I don't know who was I talking to about this. Like entrepreneurship is like playing a video game. Okay, no matter at what level you reach, it's like you pass one hurdle and then the next one comes, and then you pass that and then the next one comes, which is higher, and then you pass that and then the next one comes, which is higher. So if you have that mentality of, I'm in this battlefield and I'm going to slay the dragons, the perseverance, right? I think it built all you have to know is this is not it, right? There'll be more that'll be thrown, in your way. And when you least expect something to come your way, it will come your way. So so building a business is a lot of planning for all those things that come and being prepared and not let yourself not get into anxiety or depression. So it's a mind game. It's pretty much a mind game. You need to have this in place because it will be challenging. It will be harder than what anybody has ever told you that it's hard. It'll be harder than that. Um, but know that it'll pass because nothing is permanent. Just like a video game, right? You pass that level and then that challenge is over, but a new challenge comes in. But that challenge will also get over. So know that nothing is permanent. And those are some of the things that I learned because when I initially started the business, every little problem felt like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? And then, in a day or two, I would have an answer for that and that would go. And then another one would come and I would go, oh my God, what am I going to do now? So I've built that. So I think for anybody who's starting the business out to know that there will be challenges, but no, it's not going to be permanent. It's going to go away. Just tackle them like you are playing a video game. It's a challenge. You overcome it, and then the next level comes.
I love that. I love that analogy. That was amazing. What is there a book? Is there a book or a resource that has had the most impact on you that's helped you in your business?
I think what has helped me the most is just learning from people, just like you. Um, whenever I had a question, Kristen, I just reached out to people and I asked them. So it's advice from several, like I don't know how many. If I start listing them down, the number of people I've reached out to ask questions, I don't know how many books I'll fill. Um, but overall, that's what I did. And long time ago, when I was still at General Mills, I read "Start Something That Matters." That was also by Blake, founder of Tom's. I know I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'm not even going to. I think Mike Koski, if I'm not wrong, but I always butcher it, so I don't even try. um, his book "Start Something That Matters" um, was very inspirational for me. It was inspiring in terms of, hey, just go ahead and build it. Um, right, and that's what I tell people. Everyone has a different leadership style. They're just like parenting. I feel there is no one way. There is no, even for leaders, there is no one right way. And that's like life, right? We are not born, nobody gives us a book how to handle life, right? The guidebook on navigating relationships. I feel business is also all about navigating relationships. And there is no right way or wrong way, because even if you look at so many world leaders, business leaders as well, everyone has a different way of dealing with things, but they all are dealing it and they all are doing great. It's just their way. So you have to find your way. Of course, always, be learning, but end of the day, it'll be your way.
some great words of wisdom. That's some great words of wisdom. And yeah, that book.
Long answer to a short question.
Yeah. That yeah, okay. That's good. That book. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. I know about the story, but not the actual. I haven't read the book, and it might be cool. It might be cool to get to know that.
Yeah.
What's your vision for good food for good people, or for good food for good? My apologies. What's the vision? What's the end goal here?
The end goal actually would be to eradicate hunger and diseases that are caused by a bad diet. That's the end goal for the brand. We're not as, like, right now we have sauces, but we're not just a sauce brand. The idea was to build this company or a brand that people can trust, that they know when they're buying the product that it does not have anything that they shouldn't be calling food. When they know that they're buying this product, that it's not only good for them, it's also good for someone else in need. That they're making a bigger difference through their health and through someone else's health at the same time. So yeah, that's my moonshot.
Yeah. You have to have your moonshot, right? And then aim towards that. That's a great one. What after sauces, where are you thinking right now? Where will you be going? What category?
I don't think I can
Yeah, let's
share
get the
that.
let's
Yeah.
spill the beans.
I don't think I can.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. I totally get that. Totally get that. Last question here. Final tip for anyone that's starting a company. If you want to make that towards people starting a food company, or just people that are trying to build whatever they're trying to build, what's one final tip you'd give to them?
Just do it.
Simple.
I took it from Nike.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
Just do it. Like, I think we overthink too much. It's important to know that it's going to be challenging. Worst case scenario, let's say you try it and it doesn't work. It's okay. You learned something. And then the next time you're going to try, it's going to work. Or maybe not. And then next time you'll try and it will work because now you've learned from so many things. So if you really want to, you only live once. Again, from the Drake, YOLO, you only live once. Just do it. Just do it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Okay.
If people wanted to find you, ask you a question, get into contact with you, where would they go?
You can email us at info@goodfoodforgood.ca. Find me on LinkedIn. Follow us on Instagram, Good Food for Good. It's a long name, but it was very easy to get the Instagram handles because no one else had that name. So, so find us at any of those and reach out. And I'm happy to always help.
Okay. And if someone wanted to try, what's the first sauce you'd recommend they try?
Ooh, that's a hard one because it depends on their flavor liking. Like I like the
they're
spicier
they're all
ones.
they're all your babies,
They're all my
right?
children. You're asking
They're
me
all
to pick one.
yeah yeah.
Very, very difficult. I love them all. But I guess classic ketchup, right? Like, I guess because most people know what
Hmm.
ketchup is for. So try our classic ketchup. All the flavor, no added sugar. One, and now I'm going to add a sales pitch for ketchup because you asked that. Did you know a cookie has less sugar? A Chips Ahoy cookie has less sugar than one serving of ketchup. Did you know that?
I saw. I actually, and I, I saw. I only know that because I saw your video of you crumbling the cookie on Dragon's Den. Which it, okay. Last thing here. Last thing here before we start to wrap this up. How was that experience? Like how'd you get into Dragon's Den? What was it like meeting them and presenting in front of all of them? How was that?
It was actually a very cool experience. So we were invited by the Dragon's Den team to come and pitch because they were looking for social enterprises, and there aren't many. So we fit the bill. So we went. We did the audition. I went with my daughter for the audition too, and the producer loved the whole idea. Um, and then their whole producing team actually helps you and guides you in terms of, okay, make sure your first line, like the whole idea is you should have your pitch line ready, and rest everything is conversation, right?
Hmm.
So yes, it was a little nerve wracking. Both Ria and I did practice. The worst was when we reached there. Ria was awesome. She was like on ball with her lines. I forgot my first, like, I entered a like hello dragons blah 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 blah, and I forgot what I like. The first line they say is, hey, I'm here and I'm asking for this much money. I forgot about this much money. I was just so excited to be there. And then Jim was like, Richa, can you tell us what are you here for?
Oh, that's good. That's funny.
But it
That's
was
funny.
such a good experience. It was the best PR investment that we could have made, because it's like a 7-minute storytelling.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, like where else would I get to tell my story for 7 minutes to be on air, and then six dragons, um, validating the product and the business idea. It's just best ever investment.
Yeah, yeah. I can only imagine. Richa, thank you so much. I love your energy and your passion for this space. It's contagious, and I'm sure many people listening to this have gained a lot. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristen. Again, thank you for inviting me. And it was lovely talking to you.